Hello everyone, my name is Shafira Aulia Sylvani, student number 182, and now I'm going to present my analysis for the final examination of English Poetry 1 course with the title of Poverty in Urban Life illustrated in Thomas Stearns Eliot's Morning at the Window. Okay, so this is the poem of Thomas Stearns Eliot's. And okay, so for the first one, I'm going to explain the introduction, which contains the background of the poet and the poem. So T.S. Eliot, or in full, Thomas Stearns Eliot, was an American English poet that was awarded the Order of Merit and Nobel Prize of Literature in 1948. Eliot, who is also a playwright, literary critic, editor, and a leader of the modernist movement in poetry, has known to have strong influences of Anglo-American culture. His popular works include Morning at the Window in 1917, The Wasteland in 1922, and Four Quartets in 1943. So Morning at the Window was written in 1914 and published in 1917. Although this poem is unrhymed, Morning at the Window follows the Spenserian stanza within 9 lines and use Alexandrine ending. It was the stanza that used by Edmund Spenser throughout his Elizabethan epic poem, The Faerie Queenie, which recognized that heroic deeds are narrated in an idyllic pastoral fairyland. Eliot used this to convey the impression of urban city, specifically London. The preceding paragraph will focus on the main issue raised about poverty in urban life and its analysis. So for the elements that I'm going to use for the analysis, there are four to describe the issue of poverty in urban life. There are metaphor, symbol, personification, and also imagery. So metaphor is a comparison that is not made explicitly, that is not made clearly and directly, and is not made with clues such as like or as. Symbol is a concrete object used to represent an abstract idea. In other words, something which stands for something else. Personification is the assigning of human characteristics to non-humans. Diani says that imagery is a concrete representation of a sense of impression, feeling, or idea. Imagery appeals to one or more of our senses. Imagery may be visual, something seen, oral, something heard, tactile, something felt, olfactory, something smelled, or gustatory, something tasted. So for the illustration of this poem, the narrator tells a story of his or her observation of figures, which is the figures here refers to housemates behind the window in the morning. The housemates were seen to be working in the kitchen. The kitchen is described to be in a basement under the street. The passers through the window here are described to be sad, dirty, with no hope, which makes the narrator could not even grasp a smile. So for the general meaning of this poem, Morning at the Window interprets the poet's sympathy of the condition of suffer and poverty in a city or urban life, specifically in London. The urban life seems to be distincted by upper and lower class. This condition seems to be happen as the darkness of world war through the perspective of the observer behind the window as an upper class citizen. So the observer here is known to be an upper class citizen. Generally, Morning at the Window presents awareness and sympathy towards the poor in a modern city from an upper class perspective, which is the observer or the narrator. So for the detailed meaning, the first literary device that I'm going to explain is metaphor. So the metaphor of damned soul in stanza 1 line 3, I am aware of the damned souls of housemates. So Cambridge Dictionary say that damned means slightly wet, especially in a way that is not pleasant or comfortable in literary meaning. It means damned soul emphasize that the life of the women's workers are unhappy and dependent, which cause to the desperation and burdened life. Through this perspective, it can be seen that the narrator shows a sympathy and an awareness of the condition. So, um, it means that that's why the in the poem it stated, "I am aware of the damsel of the household," because it shows the perspective that the narrator or the observer here showing his or her awareness or her or his sympathy towards the condition of housemates or workers. So for the second metaphor is twisted faces. In stanza 2, line 2, a dictionary of symbol by G.E. Eliot said that twisted is in symbolism means these fall within the broad group of symbolic abnormalities insofar as they deviate from the norm in shape and significance, where, for example, the normal shape is straight or curved. So, twisted face here emphasized the idea of burdened emotion that was seen in the worker's face as depressed, sad, and lost of hope, which is unlikely to be portrayed in modern London. We know that London often portrayed as a country or city with full of peaceful and happiness, right? Okay, so for the next detail meaning for the literary device is symbol. Basement. The symbol of basement in a dictionary of symbol by G.E. Eliot cite that basement corresponds to the unconscious and the instincts, just as the words do in symbols pertaining to the city. So the narrator does not imply basement only as the place where they work underground in literal meaning, but also basement in this line symbolize a low condition of the workers or the housemates as poor life or poverty. Okay, the next symbol is fog in the line 1 in stanza 2. The brown waves of fog toss up to me. Fog symbolism is often used as a symbol that's stuck somewhere between reality and illusion. Fog symbolism is present everywhere where there is a confusion and uncertainty. So fog that hit the narrator or the observer here could be the symbolization of the confusion of him or her towards the situation that she or he has seen outside the window, whether it is reality or just an illusion. We know that the narrator or the observer here saw the workers or the housemaid through the window, right? So the narrator or the observer here is confused whether it is reality or it's just an illusion. This poverty is just an illusion, or is it a true reality? So as for the brown waves of fog could also be the symbolization of the negative effect of industrialization in this modern life for workers or housemates that is supported by the line muddy skirts. So for the next literary device, which is personification. In the line, the brown waves of fog toss up to me, in stanza 2, line 1 again. So the brown waves of fog is tossing the narrator as if they could act like human. That's why it is categorized as the literary device of personification. It emphasized that the condition of the working people or the housemates sympathize the narrator as an upper class as if the reality hits him. Therefore, it could be concluded that the condition of poverty can be concerned for anyone, not only by the lower class, but also can be concerned by the upper class as well, proven by the narrator as an upper class citizen. Why we know that the upper class, the narrator is an upper class because she or he has a window different with the housemate that is in the basement without a window, right? Okay, so for the last literary device is imagery. First imagery is basement kitchen and the trampled edges of the street. It is categorized as visual imagery. The imagery provided in the poem reflects the visualization of poverty and destitution. Since both basement kitchens and trampled edges of the street are located under or reflects as underclass. And for the next visual imagery, the brown waves of fog toes up to me, brown waves of fog, twisted faces, muddy skirts, and aimless smile in stanza 2, line 1 until 4. The brown waves of fog, twisted faces, muddy skirts, and also aimless smile are all the representation of the poor and burdened life as workers or housemates in this industrialization era in London, where they have no hope or no destination of life. Therefore, it is the image. It is reflects as brown waves of fog, twisted faces, muddy skirt or like dirty skirts, right? And aimless smile that is not have any destination. Okay, so for the conclusion, through the analysis, me as a writer proposed the issue illustrated in T.S. Eliot's Morning at the Window is poverty in urban life. This issue was supported by the literary devices, metaphor, symbol, personification, and imagery, which support the meaning behind the poetry that is about housemates or workers' condition in the urban life that has been observed by the subject of the poetry behind the window as the upper class citizen. Eventually, the poetry made the reader realize that even the upper class, or the we know as the narrator or the observer, is being sympathized by the condition of poverty and poor. That is loss of happiness and loss of hope. Thus, the writer, me, is able to propose the theme as hope and happiness is difficult to find in the urban life with poverty. So these are the references that I used. It includes book and journal and online references. So I think that is all from me. Thank you very much. And see you on next time.